Nilikuwa tu nimekaa mahali kaona acha tu niingie nipige hii live chap chap nikitafuta usingizi kabla nilale. What has been on my mind lately? Number one, kulikuwa na hiyo story ya Burale alishare kwa Facebook, the issue of female surnames, and that thing has been an issue in my community, from the Kikuyu community. Wasapere tumekuwa na hiyo shida, and I think predominantly si ndio tuko na hiyo shida the most. That's the meaning of predominantly. Anyway, now hii issue of msee na familia yake ama msee na familia yao. So however, lazima pia sometimes naangalia vitu logically. Ni poa kuangalia vitu logically. Has it been an issue? Yes. Is it still an issue? Yes. Let me explain. Kupatia mtoto jina ya mwanamke kama surname, and especially kama ni boy child, then it cause a lot of issues pale baadaye, right? And this is how I'm thinking about it. I understand when mtu anasema ni aje, nilipo ball na mtu mwenye hataki kusupport watoi, huyu msee haja support watoi, huyu msee hakuna kitu amedu. So why should I? Why should my child carry ama continue the legacy of this guy who was essentially a deadbeat? And I'm talking about the true deadbeat. Si lazima ati cause msee haku support mtoi ni deadbeat. Kuna zile situation mahali mama ndio mshenzi. Mama aliamua wacha nitumie watoi ama wacha nitumie watoi kwa fight between mimi na bwana yangu, between mimi na baby daddy. So aka block bude ya watoi kwa na watoi. So huyo hatuwezi muita deadbeat. You tuna put all the blame on the mother. Now, assuming that that's not the kind of mother huyu mwanamke is, right? Yeye ni mother mpoa. Alijaribu ku encourage huyu jamaa take responsibility ya watoi, akakwara, akakataa. Amejaribu ku connect huyu msee na watoi wake, msee hataki. Because honestly kuna those type of men. So hao ndio wala sinaongelea kwa this particular case. So umepata mtoi na huyu mtu. Now we will not talk about ability yako kama mwanamke kuchagua mate. Either that one will be probably another long video ya feelings. Hiyo tuweke aside. Let's just assume that wewe ni mama ya Yesu, Holy Mary Mother of God, but you met the wrong guy, akakuimpregnate, akakuachilia. So I understand that tutaki kuendeleza hiyo jina, hiyo legacy, because every time you think about it, umse ni failure. Kwa all metrics tukiangalia jamaa ni failure in terms of fatherhood. Anyway, now you as a mother, you can decide, I'm not going to give my child that man's name, and it is fair. That is fair. Hiyo hakuna mse atakulazimisha. It is fair kwa sababu mse amefail. Now, that does not mean that ni lazima umpatie jina yako kama mwanamke, and especially kama ni boy child, because it cause issues kwa life yake. Listen to this example. Now imagine wewe kama a human being, every time you make a mistake unaeka tattoo kwa uso yako where everybody can see. Every time you make a mistake. So one night stand iko hapa. Kidogo kidogo niliiba sukari. Kidogo kidogo I cheated on my husband. Zote ziko tattooed on your face. How do you think people will take you when they come face you wakiona all those things that you made? Because tattoo ni permanent. Of course sai kuna hizo other ways za kutoa tattoos. However, quote in quote ni permanent. Now imagine that was the case. Now, agreeing that being with that guy was a mistake, will you tattoo that on your head, on your forehead, that I did the F word with so and so, akanipea bola kaenda katoroka? Will you do that? Now, you as a woman, when you give your surname to your children, when you give them your name to use as a surname, your children, that's what you're doing. But now, instead of you carrying that stigma and that shame, quote unquote, ni watu wako wanabeba. Because now every time somebody asks him, say, your official names, akitaja jina ya mwanamke pale mwisho, definitely msa atakuwa na rough picture of what kind of a family msa grow up into, what were the issues. Unaona, hata kama si 100%, atakuwa like 70%. So why are you intentionally stigmatizing your children? Now, mimi mama yangu anaitwa Nyambura, right? And mimi kama mwanaume nabeba jina ya mama yangu, if somebody wants to address me in English, the most respectful way anaweza niita ni Mr. Nyambura. Kwa sababu hawezi niita Mr. Ray, because that one hatujuani, ni stranger. Ataniita Mr. Nyambura. Now, how many men do you think hapa nje watakubali kukuwa addressed hivyo? Mr. Nyambura, Mr. Wamboi, Mr. Wanjiro, Mr. this female name. Insert whatever female name. That is the problem. What is the solution? Solution hapa kuna vitu mbili. Two things that you can do. Wewe kama mama mwenye unataka kuprotect watoto wako, hiyo issue, hiyo mistake ibaki na wewe, isiende kwao. The first thing will be to approach male family members. You approach your father and you ask your father for the blessing of his name. Upatie watoto wako. Right? So baba yako akupatie jina yake, upatie watoto wako kama surname amekubless. Ama bro yako akubless na jina yake, upatie watoto wako kama surname. So what will happen? This child akitoa ID ako tu kama wale watu wengine. So umekabio stigma hapo. Hauja expose mistakes zako na mistakes za familia mtu wako kwa the public, for public shaming. Because let's be honest, hata wale watu wanajifanya, oh we understand, they're just laughing and mocking, most of them. That's number one. Number two is get somebody to marry you so that they can give your child their name. So kama utaki kumari, that means that mtoi wako itabidi umende umebonga na budako ama bro yako patie jina, so kuna hiyo option. Wasota kama na feelings, which is expected. How am I going to ask my father to give my son his name and he's not the father? So if that is your argument, oh yeah, I forgot the third. So yes, the third way. If that is your argument, then patia mtoto jina ya baba yake. Because if only a man who sired this guy or sired this child can give them his name, then give them the name of their father. Because you got that seed from somewhere. Hiyo kesi tumefunga. That's number one. Mr. Mouse has been on my mind of late. Number two, I think itakuwa very important if we as a society decided that hatutaki stories of baby mamas na baby daddies. That the moment unako baby mama or baby daddy, you get married to that person who you're having a child with. Imagine that. Now, kuna caveat hapa. As long as it was not something which is criminal. What do I mean? Anything that results in a child which is of a criminal nature, that one is exempted. Every other thing is acceptable. So you go, you unapata ball, well, too bad for you. Let's change. Well, too bad for you. Hopefully inaonekana. Unfortunately sioni chats. Hey, it's about me. What's on my mind? Now, if you go have a one night stand, where come a boy, where come a dem. If a pregnancy is as a result of that mistake, you marry the person you had a child with. If you went there and you fell in love and you had a child, you get married. Hakuna story mingi. Hii nonsense ya simpendi sijui nini, that's you, hiyo ni shida yako, ujipange venye mtaishi. Right? Because we can't be talking about the way society yetu ina degenerate, venye society yetu inaharibika, venye society yetu haieleweki, and we continue producing these kids this way. We all know that the issue hapa ni parenting, the way we are having our kids, the way we are raising our kids. Now, you go do your thing, your body, your choice. Kuna mtu anakuuliza anything, but once umekuwa pregnant, we want to see you guys getting married. What will that do? Number one, that will cause a lot of grief to a lot of people, as expected and as deserved. A lot of people are going to be in very, very, very messed up relationships, which they should be, because they did something and they knew the repercussions of what they were doing. Now they are reaping the benefits. It's called the FAFO effect. F around, find out. Now, if it was required, when back in the day it was required that if somebody impregnated you, they married you, then we wouldn't have all these baby mamas, baby daddies. Why? You know, if I get pregnant by the wrong guy or the wrong woman, I'm stuck with that person for life. For life, hapa kuna jokes. You thought you're just having fun. Okay, now tunajua nini candy or candy ama sweet, kitu sweet ni tamu, but if you overindulge, cavities lazima zikuja kwa meno, so lazima uende kwa dentist, lazima usikie uchungu. So now you went, did your thing, you had your time, you enjoyed. Now it's time for you to pay the piper. Weka hiyo kando. Let's go to the recent hulabaloo. If you are in a forest or wherever, woods, would you rather meet a bear or a strange man? Now, unless you are keeping bears as pets, all bears are strange. So a stranger, sawa. Whether it's man, bear, stranger, you choose. Now I see women choosing bear. Now, wacha tu niseme tu off the bat. If ni feelings, ni sawa. Right? You have a right to your feelings, as wrong as they may be, they are your feelings. Shida hapa, hata say na hii scenario na women choosing the bear. Shida hapa ni vile these women will speak from both sides of the mouth, contradict themselves, and still think they are making sense. This is what I mean. Why wouldn't a woman wish to meet a strange man or a stranger with a man or woods? Why would she choose a bear? like, even if you asked that question hivyo, the implication is very clear that this man is going to violate this woman, and this bear is not going to. This, let me put it even. Yeah, that is the implication. That is the implication that she will feel safer with a bear than with a man. So the bear is a stranger, the man is a stranger, she will feel safer with a bear than with a man. Because the man will violate her. When I mean violate, I mean essay. That is the implication. The problem is that there are women out here who are trying to pretend that that's not the case, that the implication is not essay. But they do not give what the problem is, why they wouldn't want to meet up, because they know what they are saying is they are scared the man will essay them. Let's be honest. Now, if ni story ya feelings, sawa. Of course, a bear will not essay you. That's something which, unless I don't know what will make a bear essay a woman, right? His work. However, if it is about feelings, all feelings are valid. If it is about logic, it does not make sense, because the man, the potential of the man violating you equal, the potential of the bear violating you equal. So these two things has the potential of violating you. The only thing that is different is the mode or the type of violation. Sawa. Let's look at statistics. There are about 200,000 bears in the world, approximately. And approximately 40 bear attacks every year. 40 bear attacks every year. And the population of bears in the world is approximately 200k. So that means the probability of a bear attacking a human being is somewhere kwa range ya 0.02%. Right? Now, when you go look at the IPV and GBV statistics, 1 in 3 women has faced sexual or physical violations from a man, and also an intimate partner, in their lifetime, worldwide. Sawa? Worldwide. So hii moja ni 0.2% per annum, na hii ni 30% worldwide. What do I mean worldwide? I mean that this 1 in 3 is a mean from the one where there are no violations, or the least violations, to where there is the most. So let's say in one nation there might be something like a percentage of 0.00001%. And then in another country the percentage is 100%. So you take the mean, it comes to 30%. Let's do the math. 200,000 attacks 40. Now, these two figures you cannot compare, because hakuna mahali zinapatana until you correct. You either correct men to be 200,000, or you correct bears to be approximately the number of men in the world. That is somewhere around 4 billion. So if you corrected the number of bears to 4 billion at the rate of 0.2% per 200,000 bears, then the percentage rises to something. I was not a very good mathematician, so you will correct me if I'm wrong, but if you do the math, count something like 400%. And this is per annum. Per annum. If 200,000 bears attacks 40 people per year, what about 4 billion bears? That's how you work it out. That's how I worked it out. And the number rose to, the percentage rose from 0.02 to 400%. Now you can do your math and then mniambie just that's hiyo jina. Yeah, they are very good. Then you tell me. So that math is not mathing. Another thing is, if you go stuck in the woods and the number of 30% is accurate, then that means 3 out of 10 men will be the ones to violate you. So 7 out of 10 will not. 7 out of 10 will not. So now, if you're telling me that you are stuck in the woods, let's up this ante. Let's say that you are stuck in the woods, umepotea kwa forest. Probably it's been days. Unasikia tu animal sounds. Lions hunting, tigers, whatever, bears hunting. And you are keeping yourself alive whichever way you can. Now, I can bet almost no woman will see a bear and celebrate. But almost all women, when they see a man, will celebrate. Almost all. So does that tell us? That tells us that all these people who are talking about the bear and hauna experience, you just think, unachukua tu these hypotheticals and you're like, si bear. But now if you can tell me with all honesty that you've been stuck in the woods or in a forest for probably a week, food may run out, cold, hauna place ya kujificha, you are afraid hata ukipanda kwa miti, you are afraid of leopards and all those things and snakes. And after 1 week, after 5 days ya kuzunguka, any woman who tells me that if they saw a man looking like me, that they would run away screaming, is a liar. Let's be honest. Tukue tu honest. Hii ni vitu ya feelings, and it's okay. You are entitled to feel the way you are entitled to feel. But don't pretend that this is something logical, because it is illogical, whichever way you look at it. Then, unfortunately, there are men out here, and I will not say that they are pandering to women, but they are. Because some dude, I saw him on Facebook saying that, well, my wife asked me this question, and but then she changed and asked, what if it was my daughter? Who would I choose? Now, if you are a man, and somebody asked you, put your daughter in a forest, and you had the option of that daughter encountering a bear or that daughter encountering a strange man, who would you pick? And you picked a bear. I think you are the problem, because you are illogical. And unfortunately for people, when you ask the bear versus the man question, what comes to their mind is the worst man and the best bear. So they're like, but koala bears, but these pandas, but okay, why don't we correct for that? So let's say worst man, worst bear. Worst man, worst bear. Now you're starting, if the issue is still the bear, then now you need to sit down and look at your life and ask yourself, these men I'm being asked, my father is part of that number, my brothers, my uncles, my grandfathers, part of those men. So if I will not pick men in the hope that by random chance the men in my family will be those men, because this will be just random. Let's say there was an option where it's random. Let's remove the stranger from the equation. Let's just say there was that thing ile ya lotto that spins inatoa. So 4 billion men's names zimewekwa hapo and it's rolling. And then they pick. So if that man, if you don't hope that man is your son, or that man is your father, or that man is your brother, or your uncle, or your grandfather, that means the problem is the men in your life. Because I would hope if my sister or my daughter or my wife was asked that question, I would hope that there have been men in her life, her family, who she feels confident enough that if they were the ones who are strangers pale na msichana wa mtu, they will not violate them. So that just means your men are fucked up. You are, not the men, your family, your father, your uncle, your brother, your sons. And who is raising these men? Who is raising these men? Relax. Acha nikufundishe. Number 1. Single mothers imepanda. So there are more women raising children as compared to men. Because let's say men who are married, tuchukue mpaka wale wako polygamous. Hata wakiwekwa pamoja, hawezi pita the number of women. Because now you see kama uko kwa polygamous relationship, you have 3 women. Even if you had just 1 kid, all those 3 women are raising that 1 child. So there's 3 women to 1 man. And then add all these other single mothers. So more women are raising children than men. And interestingly, then when as the number of women who are raising children goes up, the quality of the children goes down. You cannot look at it another way. This is simple logic, simple math. As the number of women raising children goes up, the quality of the children goes down. That means children are more delinquent, children are more, likely to commit crimes, more likely to use drugs, more likely to delete themselves, all these other things. So the number goes up. Now, you women, you are raising your sons in a way that you yourselves cannot trust them. And now you are out here on social media telling us that men are bad. You are the one who are raising bad men. Of course, there are men who are abandoning their children, but then if you still look at the numbers, even if you look at the number of men who are abandoning their children and you correct and you remove the same number of women from the equation, the number of women raising children still goes up. And that means the number of women raising men, boys to be men, goes up. And that is biologically. Now, let's look at even if they are religious and they go to Sunday school, if they are Christians, most Sunday school teachers are women. If you look at public schools, most teachers kwa ECD all the way mpaka somewhere around lower primary, some mpaka class 4, you will rarely see a man. And in some instances, these children get to see a male teacher in high school. So been raised predominantly by women, then kwa Sunday school ama kwa church wanapewa doctrine na mwanamke, kwa shule wanapatana tu na mwanamke. So women, this man versus bear thing is not such a gotcha moment that you thought it was. It just shows you that you're doing a terrible job of raising kids. Now, I don't know what needs to be done about that. I think that one would be a discussion for another day. I think nimemaliza ile tulikuwa. Oh, yeah. Forgot. Some swipe of a council of elder wa Nairobi had to open his mouth and say it is okay for women to give their children their names. And I'm like, here is the problem. Our elders have sold us out. Our elders do not have any morals. Our elders do not have a backbone. Our elders don't have a brain. That's why as a Kikuyu nation, we are suffering.